Yes.
Can you elaborate in more detail as to what really happened with the Lefty situation? No hyperbole, no bias, just facts. Do you think the host painted an accurate picture of him when he left?
I think the hosts are a bunch of liars, cynical assholes, and just spewed nothing but fucking lies. I feel dirty being here right now.
I agree. It really turned around when the new guy showed up.
No, downhill, downhill rolling. No, it's all true. There's no hyperbole. Like I got nothing else to add really. Like everyone here can answer the question too. Like they lived it. I was in the same calls most of the time. There's no lies. There's no hyperbole. Lefty wanted some things that were unreasonable, and it transpired how it did.
And what it was really about at the core for me is like Lefty didn't. Like we were trying to extend kind of a friendship thing to him. Like, hey, we're all in this together. Let's be equal 100% all the way around. Everyone, like we wanted to be knights of the round table. Every man is equal. And he's just like, I don't know. Every now and then the knights, you know, they go to battle. I'd rather be over here and be like a sellsword. You just hire me as a sellsword, bring me in, you know, every now and then, and we'll yuck it up. And we're like, all right. Well,
my position.
But you do realize that you won't be Sir Lefty, you know, if you're a sellsword. And he's like, no, I want to be Sir Lefty. And, you know, it just didn't work out. That's how
Taylor's got a sweet position, and that was Lefty's position. And he wanted it to be better than Taylor's current position. And it was just, you know,
I have a couple things, like, it's hard to explain. And it's not hard to explain because it takes a little attention span. Like, there's a couple things, like, as Kyle said, we started off just being equal partners. That was the initial offer, and he didn't want any part of that, right? And so then he said he wanted to be an employee. And before this all happened, we just split the revenue equally, right? You know, like so we were kind of extending it, but with ownership. And then he said he wanted to be an employee. And here's the thing: like when you're an employee, you don't pay the expenses, you don't pay the attorney, you don't pay like filing fees for limited liability corporations or anything like that. And I'm trying to paint this totally like evenly. There was, I guess, Patreon money. I hope I have the months right, that were pledged in June, but received in July, right? Because they don't get billed until July. And then there were expenses that were quote unquote pledged in June, like when we hired the attorney and stuff like that, that weren't billed till July. Well, he wanted the June, like equal distribution of the money that came in, but he wanted to classify all those expenses that we pledged to July. And we were like, no. Look, we received the Patreon money in July. It's July revenue. Even though it was committed in June, we received it in July. And then we got the expenses in July. So that's just July expenses. And you can have one, you can have both, but you can't just pick your favorite. You can't say I want all the Patreon money that we received in July to be called June, but I don't want any of those expenses we paid in July to be called June, even though they were both committed. And shucks, there it is. I hope you guys understood that. It's hard to explain in a too long didn't read, but expenses and revenue was committed in July, but done in June. And he wanted the revenue, but not the costs. And in the end, we gave that to him. We, in my opinion, gave him the best deal where he combined, you know, all the aspects. He got his salary in July. He got none of the expenses. He got all of the revenue, and we gave it all of it. But on top of this, while he's negotiating like so hard, and like I said, he was the highest paid guy on the show, you know, more than Kyle, more than me, more than Chiz, more than anybody, because he sort of arranged this deal where he didn't have to pay any expenses, but he did get the revenue. While we're doing that, he's not like doing his tasks. Like we had divvied up some of the tasks. He was supposed to tweet out like, you know, what the show topics were and stuff. And he wouldn't. And he was supposed to upload to the podcast, like do the audio part while I did the video part. And he wouldn't, or he would like sleep on it. And, you know, and he threatened to quit all the time. He threatened to quit at least 3 times. So
all the time.
Yeah.
He was like, I got my finger on the button.
Yeah. And then we didn't fire him, by the way.
Right now.
What happened was
the way.
we just accepted it at one point. He's like, well, I'll quit. And I was like, sounds good to me. you know, we're good. As a matter of fact, I accepted it a previous time, and Kyle's like, whoa, let's not blow this whole thing up. And I'm like, kaboom, baby, you know, let him go.
No, that was too early. There was a point where like tempers had flared and he was being unreasonable, and we just hadn't even really. We were so early in the negotiations, and he was already like, well, if that's the way it's gonna be, then maybe I should just keep my stuff and keep moving. And Woody was like, all right, then how do we move forward with that? And I'm like, hang on a minute, hang on. We've talked 30 seconds at this point.
And you weren't wrong, but I also didn't want to take that approach either. I didn't want to because I didn't want him to go when I accepted his offer to quit. I just didn't want to, instantly show my hand and be like, no, please don't. It's like, you want to go? I'll accept it. Don't go thinking you're going to strong arm us. And he was just a really hard-nosed negotiator that managed to make himself the highest paid guy on the show for a month and threatened to quit like 3 times
more
in
than
10
a month.
days.
Like it took us a while to
Yeah.
I remember you're like, and now we've been paid more than Lefty, and it was a while.
Yeah, it was like 2.5 months in. Like we finally passed the Lefty money. Yeah, it was a while, and yeah, it just like I didn't say a single word that wasn't 100% true. And even now, as you're listening to this, I don't think you're finding any conflict in what we said. He just sort of combined the deals, and like, I don't know. I want this money to be mine, but I don't want all these expenses to be mine, and that's how that's how I felt ripped off. But I do this a lot. This isn't the first time where I've just paid somebody off in full, so that they never have an argument to say that I was unfair in business. Like you won't find anyone who worked with me who ever said that they weren't paid properly.